All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Merkah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And yeah, real quick, wanted to get into this lesson dealing with an article that I just came across. Slakia, 1 second. But pretty much I just came across this article on zerohedge.com dealing with the title says 5 global flashpoints which could absolutely explode during the early stages of 2023. And as I'm going to read through, not the entire thing, but just different parts here and there. All right. When you look at the direction in which these warnings are coming, all right, or at least where they're going, it's all pointing to negative things concerning the year 2023. Okay, and if you notice the trend from 2019, 2020, 2021 onward, it's always been some gloomy forecast for the next year. They start to report things in the current year, and then they say, wow, based on the outlook, it looks like it's going to get worse. But in this year 2022, the Lord has definitely turned up a whole lot of things and opened up more avenues for potential catastrophe. Okay, and now as things are getting exacerbated, they're saying that pretty much the direction the world is headed in is chaos. All right. So the title says 5 global flashpoints which could absolutely explode during the early stages of 2023. And it says, will 2023 be a year when extremely destructive conflicts erupt all over the world? We are certainly already living in a time of wars and rumors of wars, quote unquote. All right, and this is from zerohedge.com, and that's in quotes. And we know where that comes from. All right, that's in the scriptures, and written in slightly different ways, but it's in Matthew the 24th chapter. All right, Luke the 21st chapter, Mark the 13th chapter, which Yahweh Shai prophesied of this. All right. Real quick, this is Matthew chapter 24. And this is after the disciples asked the Lord what was going to be the sign of the end of the world and of his coming, of his return. And this is what he said. What's that? Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. That was a prophecy, all right, that was spoken by our Lord, the Messiah, as an indicator that we are in the times, all right, of the end. We are in the same time in which he is going to make his return. And that's what we're seeing. It's not just between Russia and Ukraine. There's various other ones going on around. And another one to keep an eye on is Israel and Iran. All right, something is going to go down between those two, and it's going to spark, some real major chaos. So going back, it says here, and tensions are approaching the boiling point in a number of key global flashpoints right now. If several more major conflicts were to suddenly begin next year, we could potentially witness an extended period of geopolitical instability that would be unlike anything that we have ever witnessed. And what does that sound like? That sounds like what the scriptures prophesy concerning the time of Jacob's trouble, in which there's going to be a trouble, chaos, disaster on the earth, unlike a time like never before. And now people are starting to, though at least those who have some level of awareness are starting to see that, this isn't what they want. The average individual doesn't want to have to acknowledge that pain, death, and destruction is coming to their life. But yet it's so apparent now that they can't put it off any longer. They have to acknowledge it. Okay, so now when you read these articles, they're giving you the forecast, but even with all these warnings in your face, you still have people going about regularly as if everything is all good. Why? Because they're zombies. All right, that's what they are. They're the walking dead. They're dead from the neck up. They just walk and move, but in the dome, there's nothing really there. And they've just been so what's the word I'm looking for? Conditioned, all right, to the point where they don't notice change in their environment unless it's very, very, very subtle and abrupt. But if it's not, they don't notice it. All these changes that are going on, they don't realize it. All right. And even if they see it, they don't even know enough about it to care. And that's why the scriptures say that what? My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. The truth is out here being given freely, and yet they don't care. So now when hard times come upon you and you cannot put off the evil and you don't know where to go, then they're gonna try to go back to the square one to try and learn. But there's gonna be no more teaching. And you're gonna be pretty much on your own, left to figure things out while all hell is breaking loose. And that's not a position you want to be in. So those that ultimately the elect are the ones that are going to take heed 100%. But those that have some level of awareness, you'd be wise to take heed and prepare yourself. So it says here, it is easy to start wars, but it is much harder to end them. If you doubt this, just look at what is going on in Ukraine. There is no end in sight for that conflict, and there are several other wars that could literally erupt at any time. All right, and that's all prophecy, what's going on in Ukraine as well, because this is a part of the Lord stirring up Gog and Magog, as it says in Ezekiel the 38th chapter, that he would put hooks into the jaws of Gog and Magog and turn them back. So he has basically used certain events and certain nations to rile up the spirit in Russia to now where they're out of that calm, peace zone, and now they realize the danger that lies ahead and that they have to be prepared. So now they're ready to take whatever measures they need to take to make sure that they're good. But that's what the Lord wants, because he needs them in that state in order for this war to pop off. So it says, because the Lord is going to push them to the point where they realize there is no other way. There's no way to avoid this war. The following are 5 global flashpoints which could absolutely explode during the early stages of 2023. So the first one here is Serbia. It says, are you ready for another war in the Balkans? Ethnic tensions have risen to the highest level in more than 2 decades. And the president of Serbia just convened an emergency gathering of his National Security Council. Okay, and then it goes on a bit more about that. What I'll try to do is leave the article in the description box, so you can, if you want to read further on these certain subtopics, you can go ahead. The next one, it says the disputed border between China and India. On Tuesday, we learned that there has been yet another violent clash along the hotly disputed border between China and India, which they've been going back and forth about that, for a while. Next, you have Taiwan, right? It says, for a long time, we have been warned that China will eventually invade Taiwan. Unfortunately, tensions in the region just continue to escalate. And on Tuesday, the Chinese sent more bombers into Taiwan's air defense zone than ever before. And that's why the Lord said wars, plural, and rumors of wars. So not just one, okay? Although at the brink of it, at the epic, it will turn into one ultimate war, the War of Armageddon, which is gonna change phases, because once this turns into a world war, it's gonna draw in the world powers. It's gonna start there. They're gonna go back and forth with each other. But then eventually it's going to turn into a war of Armageddon, a war of the realms, when the Lord makes his return, because it's prophesied that when the Lord comes back, the nations and militaries of the world are going to band together to fight against the Messiah. Okay? And that's in 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, as well as Revelation, the 12th chapter. Now, the next one, which is very interesting here, is there will be a war between Iran and Israel. Okay? Of course, the IDF has already been regularly hitting Iranian-backed forces inside Syria on a regular basis. But we should be thankful that a full-blown war in which missiles are flying back and forth between the two nations hasn't started yet. Okay? And the key word is yet. It says, unfortunately, we are closer than ever to that point. In fact, it is being reported that Israel is actually warning that it may bomb an airport in Beirut if it determines that Iran is smuggling weapons on civilian planes. Okay? It says here, when a full-blown war between Iran and Israel finally starts, there will be no holding back by either side. The death and destruction such a war will cause will shock the entire world, and the global oil trade will be thrown into a state of complete and utter chaos. Exactly, because there's no way around the time of Jacob's trouble. It's unavoidable. It's literally set in time that this will happen. So it doesn't matter what people try to do. If they go into denial, they don't want to believe it. Guess what? It's still going to happen. As a matter of fact, you are watching us getting closer and closer and closer to Jacob's trouble. It's like running up an escalator that's going down. You know, and every time you speed up, the escalator speeds up. And it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to take you back, all the way back into wherever the opposite direction is. Okay, because that's how prophecy works. All right. So now I want to get this precept here in the book of Psalms. You know, because the scriptures say that what? The least of the flock shall draw them out. Which the least of the flock is referring onto you know, the Sems or the Jays. All right, and so something is going to take place between them and the Elamites, all right, the Iranians, that's going to trigger something major, because Iran is backed by Russia and Israel is backed by the U.S. All right, and you know, once that happens, well, it's going to be hell to pay. But the Lord has it on the brakes because other prophecies need to take place first, namely the MOTB. And now we're seeing things moving faster and faster in that direction, as they're shifting away from the old currency, the old financial system, the old monetary system, into the new digital, you know, aspect. All right, with the CBDCs and so on and so forth. So we're at the door. All right, and once this door opens, everybody's getting kicked in there, and there's no coming back. The door is going to open, the world is going to be pushed in, and the door is going to be shut, and it's going to disappear. And the only way forward is forward. All right, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 126. It says, it is time for thee, Yahweh, to work, for they have made void thy law. And that's exactly what we're seeing. The Lord, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, is working. All right, he is working his work. The words that he spoke, and we have the blueprints, we have the information on these things because it was written. He spoke it and it was published. It was written for us to have the insight as to what it is that the Lord has planned to do. Okay, and we have that, and that's what we're doing, is we're making it public. So whether you will hear or forbear, guess what? Psalms 119 and 126, it is time for thee, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, to work, for they have made void thy law. So with that, I'm going to end it here. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Racha Kudash. And until next time, Shalom.